The decision. Sabrina had always scorned his lack of ability to make decisions, but this time Alec was going to prove her wrong. He now knew that true power lay in the ability to act quickly and decisively under pressure, and in any given situation. Sabrina could do that with ease, which was why she had controlled his life for so long. It was as though she was living two lives simultaneously and he was just a passenger in one of them. What surprised him most though was that he had not realized this before. She had steered him blindly through 45 years of marriage like a bull with a ring through its nose, beating his malleable soul to a compliant pulp in the process. It was only when he came upon a certain book at the local car boot sale that he began to understand. He stood looking fixatedly at the pasting table cum stall. There it lay, tilted at a rakish angle, showing off to the bric-a-brac that surrounded it. Its title screamed at Alec and goaded him to buy it. How to Overcome Indecisiveness, it said, "Buy me if you dare." It was as though the book knew that Sabrina had banned him from acquiring any more books. Alec, being an avid reader, was familiar with all subjects and genres, but there was something about this particular book he could not resist. He took a shifty glance to his left. Sabrina was 3 stalls behind, looking through some cushion covers. "How much is that book?" he whispered, pointing it out to the stall holder. 50 pence, the man replied. Alec pinched his lower lip and shuffled from foot to foot while trying to make up his mind, wondering if he dare ask Sabrina for 50 pence. He puffed out his cheeks and continued to dither for a further minute or so. At this point, the stall holder grabbed the book and thrust it into Alec's hands. "Here mate," he said, "take it, have it for nout. It looks like you desperately need it." Alec whispered his thanks, put the book under his jacket and scurried back to Sabrina. When they arrived home, Alec made Sabrina and himself a cup of tea, settled her in her comfortable armchair, and gave her a plate of her favorite ginger snap biscuits. Following this, he set off upstairs to one of the spare bedrooms. Now that the children had left home, this particular bedroom was just used for storage. At the back of the room was a large double wardrobe with a space behind it just large enough for a small man to snuggle into. This was where Alec did most of his reading. He had kitted it out with a couple of fluffy pillows and a duvet. It was here he could curl up with a book and hide from the world until Sabrina's hollow, bellowing voice summoned him. Alec settled himself down on the floor at the back of the wardrobe with his new book, his cup of tea, and his small plate of ginger snaps. He stared at the biscuits and crumpled his face into a scowl. Why couldn't we have custard creams for a change? He thought back to the one-sided argument he'd had with Sabrina when she sent him for their weekly shop and he dared to buy custard creams instead of ginger snaps. She totally embarrassed him by raging at him to take them back and replace them with ginger snaps. He would have hidden them and just bought a packet of ginger snaps, but she didn't allow him to have any money of his own. Not a penny. It was another way of controlling him. He switched on his makeshift lamp. From this cozy little space he had traveled all over the world, journeyed into space fighting intergalactic wars and made love to the most beautiful women in history, all with the help of the world's greatest literature. He resentfully bit into one of his ginger snap biscuits, opened his new book and read the inside cover. Decision-making is an important part of one's life. It helps us to take control, accept responsibility, achieve success and happiness, and find out who we really are. Indecisiveness, though, complicates all aspects of our lives. It results in abdication from making decisions, it stunts growth and development. It also evokes feelings of powerlessness, inadequacy, frustration, envy and cynicism, it said. Alec allowed these words to filter into his brain. He read them over and over again. Eventually he was so moved, he spoke aloud. "This is it," he asserted. "This is the book I've been waiting for. This book is going to change my life, I can feel it." It was a true epiphany. The light shone as brightly as it had done for Saul on the road to Damascus. The difference being that Alec did not go blind. Instead, he suddenly became aware of what had been happening to him over the years. "Things are definitely going to change," he confirmed aloud. 2 weeks later, Alex sat in his bolt hole drinking a hot mug of tea and munching from a large plate of custard creams. Steeped in one of his more racy books, he shuddered with pleasure as he turned the page to the last chapter. He was happy now, happier than he had ever been in the last 45 years of his marriage. He had finally put Sabrina in her place. It wasn't easy as she tried to browbeat him into submission, but the book gave him strength. For once he'd made a decision and asserted himself. He wondered if Sabrina had been proud of him in some small way. If only I'd had the guts to do it years ago, he thought. He looked up at the ceiling. The large patch that had leaked through from the attic above was changing color again. First it had been crimson, then light brown, then dark brown, and now it was going black. Alec purred with satisfaction and returned to his book. "Life is good," he said aloud.